So with that being said, man, which of these two teams had the bigger collapse between the two? You know what? I'll go first. Never mind, man. Enough of this, man. All right, man. So, I'm still not over this right now. I still got a hangover over this. I still can't get over this nightmare. So just I apologize because I'm not in the right state of mind right now when it comes to my Dallas Cowboys. Um, this was painful. Um, I I can't stop thinking about this right now. Um, I didn't even I wasn't even planning to come on the show because I know certain people were gonna abuse and ridicule me but you know what? I deserved it. I've been talking really crazy when it comes to my Dallas Cowboys. I got people on social media from friends to family members dragging me right now on social media. But
Rightfully so.
I just can't help myself, man, when it comes to my team because I thought so highly of this team this year and I just thought it was just there, but obviously we are nothing but playoff frauds, gutless, heartless. We were undefeated, couldn't get that done, and we lost at freaking home. Are you kidding me?
Then got drugged.
Um, and then we were
This
the
is
first number two. Where were we the
this is the
first? We were the first. What? What'd you say? We were the first number two seed team to not advance to the divisional round. We were the first team with 3 12-win seasons not to at least advance to an NFC championship game. And it's probably going to go to 30 years as long as Mike McCarthy, or should I call him drop the Mike McCarthy for crying out loud.
Wow.
I
People drop
just
the mic when they leave, and
this
that man don't leave.
team was bad. They got out coached. They got outplayed. Um, as far as Philadelphia goes, I knew they were gonna lose. I knew they were gonna lose this. I don't look at them as a collapse like that, even though some people do think it was a collapse because I haven't been high on Philadelphia. Anybody that follows the show, I've never been high on them like that. Even when they were 9-0, obviously they dropped to 1-6, including the playoffs. I just felt like the Cowboys game was a more of a huge collapse in this game, and I don't want to hear about that. Dak Prescott. He went for what? He went for 28 for 39. I think he threw for close to 300 yards. Garbage time stats right there, man. Stats don't matter. Rankings don't matter. All pros don't matter. None of that matter. They lost, man. They lost. They got outcoached. They got outclassed. And no adjustments were made at all in the second half. And they just continue, the Packers just to continue to pour it on them. And you had Jordan Love out there outplaying Dak Prescott once again. The Green Bay Packers have more playoff wins than the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. That's embarrassing, man. It's very humiliating as a Dallas Cowboys fan, man. I just don't know what to say about this team, man. I love the MBS platform, but if I didn't love it so much, I wouldn't be doing all this coverage right now because I'm still not over this, man. And the Dallas Cowboys are the biggest collapse between them and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. It's the box office.
all right. I think that this answer is pretty obvious because the Eagles have been dying a slow death for 6, 7 weeks now, and we knew that it's all downhill, and that's why I picked the Bucks to beat them. Um, we knew no one had the Eagles in the Super Bowl. They've looked terrible in the last month. They just I've never seen a team be 10-1 and fall off a cliff like this. Like never. A team that's always 9-0, 10-1, middle of the season, always makes it far in the playoffs, if not to the Super Bowl. But not the Eagles. They fell off a cliff. Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator, is terrible. Uh, some of the calls that he was calling, he's throwing screen passes on 3rd and 18, but in like pressure situations where they need a score. I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know what's going on with Philadelphia. I guess they missed the Colts coach Shane Steichen on as offensive coordinator. They can't figure out the defensive secondary either. I don't know what's going on with Philly. So, but them losing doesn't surprise me because they've fallen off. It's the Cowboys. All of us picked the Cowboys to win. And okay, if Green Bay pulls it off, it's not like they were 18-point favorites. I mean, we knew that Dallas was better all year. But if Green Bay pulled out a game-winning field goal, we'd be surprised, but we'd say, okay, I could see it. Bruh, 21-0 immediately. It was, I think, 41-16 with 6 minutes to go. And look, Dak Prescott wasn't great. He had a terrible pick six, but I actually blame this on the defense. They were terrible from the start. And look at the Green Bay touchdowns. They're like wide open. Aaron Jones is running all over him. And they're like, oh, Dan Quinn, he's going to be a coaching candidate. For what? For what? I could not believe what Dan Quinn did this week. I would not hire or even I'd lose his number if I had Dan Quinn's number and I'm looking for a head coach right now. That's what I would do. That was terrible. That was terrible. And you can't even blame it on Dak. He was in a bad situation from the start. And I'm not a Dak fan. I'm just being real. But yeah, the Dallas Cowboys, the way they lost was shocking.
Okay, see what you're thinking.
All right, man. I'm gonna go the other direction. Philadelphia, like I said, those boys suck. They suck. And even when they were 10-1, it was people that said that they sucked. I didn't believe it because I'm a big believer. If you win the games, you won the game. But those guys, I expected a whole lot more out of them this whole season. I think it was a terrible job from the top to the bottom. The players and the coaches. The coaches down all the way down to the last player on the roster. I think they all sucked. They all did a terrible job. But I will give them a little asterisk on this loss. AJ Brown not playing, I believe that hurt them a lot. Not that much though. Not for that ass whooping they took. That wasn't.
They were losing the bonus.
The one AJ Brown is not gonna make up all those points, and he don't play defense. So stopping Baker Mayfield shouldn't have been that hard for them. You know what I mean? I look at him and I think that this kind of goes against everything I'm always preaching. But I would not be surprised if Nick Sirianni is out of a job. I wouldn't be surprised 1 year after taking him to the Super Bowl, this terrible collapse, because it's obvious that there's something going on. It's something that's going on inside their locker room. He might be one of those coaches that has lost the locker room, but they had way too much talent on their team to end up going out like this in the first round. And I think they're the biggest losers as far as bigger collapse, even bigger than the Cowboys this year, man, because they collapsed. They collapsed starting game 11 of the year, 12 of the year. They've been collapsing ever since then.
All right, Mike, what you got for us?
So I was searching for a moment. I was searching for a moment in the Cowboys Packers game, looking at the recap. I was searching for the moment when there's a Cowboys fan sitting back on the couch, swigs his beer and says, "All right, now we're moving." And it happened with 5 minutes and 53 seconds left in the first quarter. Dak Prescott scrambles left end to Dallas 49 for 18 yards. And after that, it was all downhill. One play. They got one play in the first quarter where they said, all right, now we're moving. And then after that, it was just pain. It was like a root canal. The most epic collapse absolutely goes to the Cowboys. The expectations were much higher for them as the number 2 seed with that talented roster, a three-headed monster of Parsons, Prescott, and Lamb. The Eagles wasn't what? Say that again.
I don't think Parsons played in this game. I didn't.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, Dak Prescott obviously was there, but yeah, there was a couple no-shows for sure. Yeah, maybe somebody else swapped helmets with them. Very embarrassing for the Cowboys, who had bigger expectations at the end of the season than the Eagles, who collapsed much sooner. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy one, y'all. I just wrote down a couple of things. The Eagles were the 5 seed, the Cowboys were the 2. The Eagles lost to the 4th seed on the road. The Cowboys lost to the 7th seed at home. And here's the crazy thing. I don't know how much I've been paying attention to the Packers, but Jaden Reed, man, he's a problem. And he didn't even catch a pass.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You said, I was like, what did you see last game that said he was a problem? I know he had a nice little end of the regular season, but I'm still it's still up to debate for me on who's the best receiver in that roster, whether it's Dobbs, Jaden, or Watson.
But just hear me out.
It's Watson.
They scored 48 points, and between Reed and Watson, I think most people, even though Dobbs had a great game, Reed and Watson's caught one pass combined.
They have a nice roster. They have nice weapons.
No,
that tight end, Musgrave, and they have 2 tight ends. They drafted 2 tight ends. They definitely somehow have a bunch of weapons now when Aaron Rodgers was complaining about having nobody except Devontae Adams for years. It's really wild how Packers are just able to use this magic and sprinkle this dust.
He left 1 year too early.
But yeah, it's clear to the Cowboys, man. The Cowboys, I actually said on the show last week, I had the Cowboys getting to the Super Bowl. I think most people had the Cowboys. I mean, out of the 2, more people had the Cowboys getting to the Super Bowl over the Eagles because of the collapse the Eagles had in the regular season. So for me, it's a no-brainer. We picked the Bucs to win last week or this past week, and it's definitely the Cowboys.